Country Forum today brought to you by Banner Payson Medical Center, Hospitality Wireless, George Henry Plumbing, Heating and Cooling, Anytime Fitness, At Your Service Cleaning and Tree Service, and ITD Group Computer Services. 4 minutes past 9 o'clock, 75 degrees, it's Friday, and you know what that means. Here to tell us about everything going on at the Sawmill Theaters and ever so much more, it's your hometown movie guys, Tina, Craig, and Andy with us in the studio this morning. Going to tell us all about what's going on at the Sawmill Theaters as well as what's coming up, and we're going to talk animated movies today too, so it's something for you to look forward to on that. But first of all, just need to say good morning to the hometown movie guys. How y'all doing today?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Most excellent, thank you for asking.
Most excellent. Okay. So I guess that's better than you then.
Just great.
Totally.
Craig's the grumpy one today.
All right, so what do we have to have somebody here?
We're like the three dwarves. He gets to be grumpy today.
There you go. Now, one of the things that I want to make sure that we talk about real quick here right off the bat is the summer kids at movies.
Randy, that you're all wrong on that. There is no seven dwarf named Horny. Wrong.
Stop that, man.
Okay, that was right out of left field.
This
Anyway,
is the guy who asked you if you had a delay before stuff went
I
up.
got a delay for you.
Seriously, he's
It's
got
called
the
turn his
button.
microphone
Yeah,
on.
really.
Anyway, although I do sense a new Snow White movie coming out suddenly. Anyway, the summer kid movies are finally here. For just $5, your kids can get in, watch a movie, enjoy a small drink and a small popcorn. And this is getting underway this coming Monday. Is that right? Is this the first one this Monday? Or you
No, actually started last week.
started last week?
Yes,
And how's that been going? Have you been getting a lot of
Going
hits?
pretty good, yeah.
And so you can come in, watch a movie, have a popcorn. Life is good.
Yeah, we're doing next Monday and then Thursday at 10:30 in the morning. And we're doing Shrek 1 on Monday and then Shrek 2 on Thursday.
Oh, wow. Very cool. You know, the Shrek movies those are fun for the whole family. I mean, there's a lot of good one-liners and stuff in there. We can talk about that occasionally, but I mean, there's,
Definitely.
even if you're thinking, I don't want to watch an animated movie, there's stuff there to laugh at. I mean, I got some good belly laughs out of the Shrek 1.
Both of those are on cable TV today.
All right, yeah, so you can pick them up off cable, or check them off on Netflix or whatever, but
Do you have an arrangement with cable TV when you're featuring movies? They preview it.
They do it.
They do.
They're watching us.
all right, so don't forget the Summer Kids movies, Monday, Shrek 1 at 10:30 in the morning, and then Shrek 2 plays on Thursday, June 20th at 10:30 in the morning, so get the kids on down there, something fun to do during the summer break. Also, Men in Black, or MIB International, Men in Black, is this the third Men in Black movie? Fourth. I forgot where the third one went. But at any rate, obviously that's been a big franchise that's generated a lot of money, and so they're thinking, hey, let's try a fourth time.
Yes.
What do you know about this one so far?
Looks like a Men in Black film.
Yeah, it's good. That's good. It's always good to make it look like it's supposed to.
No, it doesn't. It's got a woman.
Men in Black International, the Men in Black have always protected the Earth from the scum of the universe. In this new adventure, they tackle their biggest threat to date, a mole in the MIB. It plays at 1:15, 4:15, and 7:15. The 4:15 showing is in 3D. This is rated PG-13. I think it sounds like a bunch of fun.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? If anything, these movies have always been, a good time.
Right. Have the critics had much to say on this one?
Kind of down the middle on it.
Yeah, really?
Nothing over the top with it, but.
And with some of these animated, the animated movies, we've seen some big bucks spent there, and some with the, where you got all the special effects. And Men in Black has always had a lot of really bizarre aliens and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the 3D on this.
Yeah, it should be interesting. How much, do we know how much money they spent on this one, Andy?
Yes, they spent an ambitious $110 million to make the movie.
Wow.
And by my reckoning, which probably doesn't necessarily coincide with Craig's expert reckoning that he cannot disclose, I figure that about half the money goes for the movie theater and about half for the producers.
Right.
And that, by my reckoning, that means that they're going to have to get $220 million in the kick before they
Just to break even.
Before they break even.
Wow.
And I expect that they will, but this is not going to be some great revenue center for these guys. But it's an interesting and worthy movie, and maybe after our caller, I can talk some more about it. 'Cause,
Okay.
this is a pretty cool thing.
You
Oh,
see?
yeah. See, I think sometimes they call it and hang up just so they go, oh, yeah, they lost another one. Well, thank you for that anyway. So Men in Black, man, you know, like I say, the first, I remember seeing, I think the first two, I'm not sure if I saw the third, but I mean, there was a lot of good laughs in these. I thought they were pretty funny. And that some of the alien creatures that they come up with, I mean, I think trying to pick a favorite in those can be kind of fun. I personally like the little mouthy guys that look
Yeah,
like they're about
that
half.
light cigarettes.
Yeah, they look like they're about half loaded most of the time.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. Great cast, though. Chris Hemsworth, of course, Thor. Teresa Thompson. And Teresa Thompson recently played a character called Valkyrie in the same universe with Thor. So she was in the Avengers movie.
Now, in an attempt at just ultimate equality, I noticed that in the first couple, I don't remember any women in black. Maybe I'm wrong or mistaken, or I just forgot about them. But we do have women in black in this one, so maybe this should be called People in Black or something. So we're not offending any gender.
PIB?
People in
I
Black.
think it was the second one, they did kind of set it up for,
Really?
for a female lead in there, but they never went forward with that.
Right. Well, I think it sounds like it might be kind of interesting.
That's right. They had the
Mortician.
coroner,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
The
Yeah.
corner girl was kind
And
of.
so she comes. She's
Yeah.
now a part of the.
No, they did not do that, but
Oh, okay.
she was kind of privy to things that were going on.
They made her look
So
at the
they
little
were-
big
yeah,
pen and forget
they were-
everything.
Yeah, if they did that to her or not, but I thought they were actually going to set that up and bring her in, but like I said, that did not happen.
Interesting. Interesting.
And one of the things that made me laugh in the first Men in Black was when the Men in Black, for those of you who haven't seen any of the movies, the Men in Black are investigators of the paranormal, and their mission is to preserve the Earth from the scum of the universe coming in and wrecking things, and which apparently is going on more or less constantly.
But enough about Congress. Sorry.
In the first Men in Black movie, they get a lot of their clues from the National Enquirer. Saucer lands in Nebraska, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And they go, sure enough.
Maybe that magazine actually has something to it.
Yeah, but they have as you described, the big pen that erases people's memory.
Wow.
So they're able to keep things on the quiet. Great cast, though.
That sounds interesting. Again, rated PG-13, so good for the whole fam.
Yep, Emma Thompson, Liam Neeson, and Rebecca Ferguson also have roles in this movie.
Liam Neeson's in this one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Rebecca Ferguson, you might remember because she played Jenny Lind in the recent The Greatest Showman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean she's
Oh, yeah, she was awesome.
yeah, she's a really a big deal actress.
Yeah.
Do we know what kind of part Liam Neeson plays in this? Because I'm guessing it's something like, I don't care what planet you go to, I will find you, I will kill you.
I'm not sure. He might even be a voice actor. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Because there's all of the aliens. Of course, they're animated.
Right.
He is, I think he's the head of the international branch of Men in Black.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Uh-huh.
Very cool.
But in particular, I want to mention about Rebecca Ferguson. There's a movie coming out next year in 2020, a remake of Dune.
Oh, I remember
And
that movie.
she's going to be Lady Jessica.
Ew.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's the kind of things that
Good
Andy
story.
looks forward to.
Yeah.
Also, the old country song, she got the gold mine, I got the shaft. Well, shaft comes to Payson this week. I couldn't think of any other way to segue into that, sorry. This is taken off on the, it was like this in the 70s, wasn't it? The 70s was the greatest.
Blaxploitation,
Yeah.
they called it.
Blaxploitation?
Yes, they did.
Wow,
They called
interesting.
it
It was a TV show about a detective or something,
Yes,
John
yeah.
Shaft.
And it had that theme, the theme. Oh, It was so cool. It was like.
Hey, go ahead and sing it for us.
You can't do that, but maybe you could bring it up on our,
Yeah, we might be able to do that.
yeah.
Well, anyway, it's all about John Shaft Jr., a cybersecurity expert with a degree from MIT. He enlists his family to help uncover the truth behind his best friend's untimely death. It's rated R, so there's probably some shoot 'em up, potty language and stuff like that. 1:30, 4:30, and 7:30. Does that pretty much, I mean, shoot 'em up, potty language, does that pretty much sum it up?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's, yeah, yeah. This is a Samuel Jackson film, so this guy is in everything.
And he plays the part of Shaft, Samuel
Yes,
Jackson?
Yes. There's actually
Three shafts.
three shafts, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is
I don't think there's too many
this
parts
is the
that he
third.
hasn't played. I think he hasn't done
He's-
Annie from Little Orphan Annie
He
yet.
is,
But
yeah,
other
he
than
is
that,
he is in everything.
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, and we have three generations of Shaft. We
Yes.
have Richard Roundtree as the grandpa, and of course he was the original Shaft.
Right.
We have Sammy Jackson as the papa, a middle guy, and then there's a youngster who plays Shaft Jr., and he's kind of the current Shaft.
Interesting. Again, plays at 1:30, 4:30, and 7:30 at the Sawmill Theaters. And we have to take a quick break and got some other movies to tell you about. We're also, I want to plant a seed here for you to be thinking about. Tell us about, in your opinion, the best animated movie of all time. What do you think the best animated movie of all time is, in your opinion? And then we've got the opinions of several others that we'll share with you. A whole bunch of that and a whole bunch more coming up.
Howard the Duck.
Help, I'm talking and I can't shut up.
Customer
Hi.
service is important.
Hi, who are you? Why is this man looking through the window at me? Is there anyone else in the studio?
Insurance, fully loaded vans are insured, and our technicians have completed background checks, wear uniforms.
I hate when they do this to me.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, you got 40 seconds, go ahead.
Yeah, all kinds. I'm gonna go develop a meaningful relationship.
Find expert surgeons
I
right here
actually,
at Payson. My name
not
is
being an
Steve
animated
Thompson. I'm
band,
registered
however,
nurse, and I've lived in Payson for
Ratatouille.
12 years.
What?
And I've worked in
Ratatouille.
Payson Medical
Yes.
Centers,
And-
perioperative
and
nurse for
Enchanted.
14 years.
You guys ever heard of the yard sale shop?
He has 3 board-certified
The
general
yard
surgeons.
sale shop?
Yard sale shop.
Dr. Lloyd.
Oh.
Isn't that a rye?
It's in Rye.
Oh, it's down in Rye.
Yeah.
Other services including colonoscopy and
In Rye, 11
breast
miles
surgery,
south of Payson,
system
just as you get down to the
Yeah,
bottom.
Enchanted was just one of my all-time favorites.
colorectal surgery.
Just go south on 87, 11 miles out of Payson to the south. There's a turn off to Guy's Ceiling. You'll see a sign that says Guy's Ceiling. If you turn right there, this little
Brandy.
store on the left, there on
Computer
the side of
issues
the road there,
taking
that's
time away from your business, your family.
Sorry, I couldn't do any better.
Never mind, it's going. Okay.
All right, you bet. Good luck. Yeah, no problem.
I saw the countdown there and I thought it was gonna run over.
Don't let the door hit you on the butt of the way. We should stop after that one.
Much more. They can even pick up and drop off your laptop, fix it on
Yeah,
location,
we got
or
too much stuff,
assist you
so it's not this
remotely.
good.
Contact Sam today
Okay,
at 623
14 seconds.
01775
Someone else drive it
or
up the
Sam
end.
at
Ridiculous.
theitgroup.com. You'll find this ad and a link to his website on our website,
Country.com.
Welcome back to Rim Country Forum. 18 minutes now past the hour of 9 o'clock, 76 degrees. And this morning on Rim Country Forum, talking with your hometown movie guys, Andy, Craig, and Tina with us in the studio. And talking about the different movies playing this week at the Sawmill Theaters. As we mentioned, Men in Black International starts today, as does Shaft. Now, The Secret Life of Pets 2. Now, The Secret Life of Pets 1 actually did pretty darn good at the box office, if I remember right.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And what's going on over there? Anyway, the Secret Life of Pets 2 plays at 1 o'clock, 3:10, 5:20, and 7:30, continuing the story of Max and his friends following their secret lives after their owners leave them for work or school each day. This is another one of these that it's rated PG, good for the whole family, but there'll be some good one-liners. And I was trying to remember the one-liner that I saw in the trailer yesterday when I saw it, and because I thought it definitely bore repeating, but I'm old and I forgot.
Oh yeah, no, these are fun movies. Everyone's been enjoying this. It's been doing pretty well at the theater and pretty well nationally too.
Yeah. So you've had it here for a week now,
Yes.
and it's been doing pretty good locally.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And when it comes to spending money, we've always had a lot of information about, how much money is spent on some of these animated movies, and kind of blows my wee little mind at times. Do we have numbers on this one?
Sure, $80 million.
Oh, so not nearly as much as the other one we were
Men in
talking
Black.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's still a lot of money,
Oh, yeah.
by my reckoning. And Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for the last 2 weeks, Secret Life of Pets #2 has been the leading movie nationally at the box office.
Yeah, it was last week. Yeah, we had was Secret Life of Pets, and Dark Phoenix came out last week.
All right.
And Dark Phoenix, it turns out, was just an awful film.
Really? Now, don't candy
you know,
coat it for us. Tell us what you
yeah.
really think.
Well, it was a little, it had to be kind of difficult for Fox too. This was when, this Disney merger was, hadn't been finalized yet, but it was definitely, taking place as they knew it. And, it sounds like they really just kind of dialed this one in on this last, last version of the X-Men from Fox Studios. So, in any case, yeah.
How's it been doing in Dark Phoenix in the box office?
Just terrible.
Really?
It's one of those, sometimes the public is really good at kind of sniffing these things out.
And you found this one stinky.
Yeah. Well, and the X-Men franchise has been very successful. It's, they've done quite a few of these films, and, some Wolverine movies thrown in there also, and they've done really good. Some of them make quite a bit of money, and this one, it sounds like this is clearly the worst of the series.
I've seen the trailer for this, and I think one of the scary things is there's a gal in here that goes through some metamorphic change, seems like some alien with PMS or
Yeah.
something, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's over one way to put it, yeah. There's definitely some special effects in this thing, and it looks pretty cool.
Mhm.
I've kind of sat through about half this thing and watched it, and so the special effects are there. That's really good. It's just the story and
I
everything
thought
is a
that was
little
kind of an
bit.
interesting choice of words. I sat through about half of this thing.
Yeah, well, I usually ruin films for myself. I'm
You've moved on to ruining it for everyone else
Well,
now.
Well, I'd like to say it was, like I said, there's some good special
No, I
effects in
appreciate
it.
the honesty,
So, there's some
yeah.
good special effects if you like that type of thing, but,
Plays at 1:30, 4:30, and 7:30.
yeah, a lot of times I end up just kind of standing in the hallway and I watch,
Right.
10, 15 minutes here, 10, 15 minutes there. And,
Right.
you
Well, it's
know,
not like you don't have a job to do or
Yeah,
anything.
right.
But it's interesting though.
And
And
it's a big disappointment to me because I'm such a fan of Sophie Turner. Sophie Turner played Sansa Stark in the Game of Thrones movies, and
Oh, okay.
so I was really hoping for a big success. But they have a problem in kind of superhero movies. They keep ratcheting up the superpowers, and they did the same thing with Captain Marvel. When you get a superhero that is ultimately, well, in this movie, they just somebody suggests to the Dark Phoenix that she can destroy or create worlds. And that is, that's omnipotence. That's you have become a deity at that point. You're God if you can create worlds. And what do you do with a character that has absolutely unlimited powers? How do you put that into a construct that human beings can actually understand?
feed them turkey bacon.
That's an abomination unto the Lord.
Ruins everything for me, I know that.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. It just seemed like the thing to say.
So anyway, I think
Did you spend a lot of money on this one?
yeah, I think they spent about 200 million.
Wow.
Ouch. It might be.
And this has been not only bad locally, but across the board. This is not been
Yeah,
a good thing. Huh?
yeah, across the galaxy.
Wow.
Across
Intergalactic
the
failure.
universe.
All right.
Yeah, and it's understandable when they've kind of painted themselves into a corner with this character.
Was this the one that I saw that you had a review on in today's Payson Roundup?
Today's Payson Roundup?
Yeah.
Well, you may.
Well, good.
Is it in there? I looked at today's paper.
I've seen your picture in there somewhere.
Yay!
I don't know if it was in the arrest report or what.
Okay, so, if you wanna know what I really think about it.
He was
then-
arrested, it was as an unnamed juvenile.
Yeah. Hey, well, speaking of traveling across the universe, how about the movie Rocket Man? Now, that's a musical fantasy about Elton John's breakthrough years. It plays at 1:15, 4:15, and 7:15. And, we've been talking, this is what, the beginning of the third week for that?
Third week, yeah.
Yeah. And how's that done locally?
It's done really good.
What about nationally and internationally? Has this been well received here?
So-so.
Huh, interesting. Elton John, a lot of music over, multiple decades. Quite the hit producer between he and Bernie Taupin, the lyricist for many of the songs. But I've heard some good things about this. It is rated R, plays at 1:15, 4:15, and 7:15. Now I'm assuming on this one, I've not seen it yet, but I'm assuming the R rating is because of some language and maybe some adult subject content.
Yes.
Did I say that? Pretty close to being politically
You were
correct?
so diplomatic.
Thank you. And you can sign my petition, anyway. Rocket Man, though, sounds like an interesting movie. And now, is this just chock full of Elton John music performances as well?
Yes.
And now, I think it was you that was saying, Tina, that you thought that the guy that they chose to play the part of Elton John did a pretty admirable job.
I thought so.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, he looked enough like Elton John, and I wasn't sure, I asked Andy about this, whether he sang or they dubbed him, and whatever it was very, very good.
So whether it's lip sync or he
Yeah.
actually sang it.
Yeah.
I would think with Elton John actually acting as what, a co-producer or
He
something?
was
on
the
this?
main producer.
The main producer on
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
So I would
so-
think with him being there, he might want to
Yeah,
have his own vocals in there, who knows?
I'm not sure.
It's kind of, we were talking just before the show today too, that, Elton John hasn't come out with anything new in a long time, and Andy, I think you said that you read that he is living peacefully somewhere in his retirement years now.
Yeah, at the closing credits, they give a little blurb on Elton John saying that he was living quietly. He's no longer touring. He's has a fella they're partners. I don't know if they're actually married, and they have a couple of kids. And so they're living quietly in retirement. And
Well, after you make your first gazillion dollars, you can probably sit back and relax a little.
Well, and as producer on this movie, this is one of the few movies this week that is a really solid hit in terms of finances.
Really?
So they spent about $40 million to make it, but they've made that back and overmade it back. So
Wow.
it is his role as movie producer. Elton John also is making tons of dough on this one.
So now, this has only been out 3 weeks, and they're already in the black then?
Yeah, 112 million worldwide, and it's still out in theaters, so it's all gravy from here on out. And the interesting thing too is in Theron Egerton, the guy that plays Elton John, he's most famous, I guess, he made 2 King's Men kind of spy spoofs.
Huh.
And in the second one, Kingsman and the Golden Circle, Elton John has a role in this. So these guys knew each other prior to this movie, and I think that's interesting too.
Very interesting. Hey, we got a caller on the line, 27 minutes past the hour. Hi, you're on Rim Country Forum. Good morning.
I just wanted to say that I read an article about the Elton John movie, and the fellow who starred in it did all his own singing.
Wow, that's interesting.
Awesome.
I was wondering if, because lip syncing, well, I think you'd have to, at least if I was doing it, you'd have to go through a lot of different takes to get it
No,
right.
and he was, if that being true, he was amazing.
Wow,
Yeah.
very interesting. So, caller, did you see the movie? And well, that says,
wow.
it kind of answers my next question. How'd you like it? Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, very interesting.
Yeah.
I've been a big follower of Elton John's music for a long time, and I know there's some aspects of his persona that I have a difficult time, agreeing with, but hey, who cares? I'm sure there's things about me that he doesn't agree with either, big deal.
Well, really came to me after the movie was how many of those songs are part of our national, or, you know, our mental awareness. I mean, just, his songs are really a great body of work of music and words.
Well, and you know, off of the Goodbye to Yellow Brick Road album, Candle in the Wind, the
Yeah.
original rendition of that he kind of reworked and rewrote after Princess Diana died.
Right.
I think that version is more well-known than the original.
Yeah.
But he did a lot of different things that have become a real part of the fabric of our world.
The music is so amazing.
Mhm.
It really is.
And caller, one of the things that just knocked me back in my seat is that first scene where he's at the Troubadour, and he just bursts out into Crocodile Rock, and
Right.
that just knocked me right back in my seat.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Could be,
often the case.
yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. Hey, thanks for the call.
And
Thank you.
I thought that Dallas Howard,
Dallas Bryce Howard.
Dallas Bryce Howard
Yeah.
did just an incredible job as his mom.
Oh, my word, she was amazing.
And I didn't realize that was her. I had
Yeah.
to figure out, because I knew she was in the movie, but I didn't recognize her at all.
Yeah,
Wow.
same,
I've
same
never-
for me as well. And she is Ron Howard's daughter,
He named his daughter Dallas.
Bryce
Yeah,
Howard.
that has to do with her.
I guess it's better than Mayberry.
She was conceived in Dallas.
Oh.
Ah, all right. You had to sit and search for that word, didn't you? Anyway, we have to take a fast break because it's just the smart thing to do at this point. And we'll be back with more after a quick look at weather. Don't go away.
This weather is being brought to you by...
You know, something you said earlier about how superheroes are being going over the top. That's exactly what ruined Wonder Woman for me.
KMOG weather
Up
forecast.
The
until,
newest
yeah,
one?
up until 3/4 of the way through it, she was Wonder Woman as the original character was originally designed. After that, she suddenly became superhuman and
Yeah.
could survive anything that happened to her, and it just didn't work.
Well, the weird thing for me that always, even from the start of the original TV show, is like, Wonder Woman? Really? That's what we're going to call it? I mean, I wonder about every woman.
Still, you wonder.
That's right.
Always we wonder.
And don't ever stop. There's 2 commercials here for Sears. If you could do that, just voice them before you go.
I can do that.
Do you want me to leave it in
And just
there or
yeah, just
here?
leave them there on the keyboard, and then just leave them in there on the desktop? Okay.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you again.
Still wondering.
Excuse me. That was rude to have on camera.
Trailers in stock and a complete line of Husqvarna powered.
And she's always had superhuman powers. You get hit by a 50 caliber bullet in the wrist, it's
Yeah.
gonna tear your arm off.
Yeah.
Well,
Even if it does
yeah,
this.
even if you do have magic amulets.
Right, exactly.
Here we go.
Star Valley. Call or text 928-468-6164.
28 minutes in front of 10 o'clock, 77 degrees, talking with your hometown movie guys on Rim Country Forum this morning, finding out what all's going on at Sawmill Theaters. Now, Rocket Man, we were just talking about the musical fantasy about Elton John's breakthrough years. I'm pretty much have got to go see that. I mean, I've just been a big fan of his music for a lot of years. Not so much in the latter years, but boy, I mean, originally he had just some great stuff back in the days of Tumbleweed Connection, Honky Chateau, Mad Men Across the Water, and some of those older things, Goodbye to Yellow Brick Road. Things got a little bit more flamboyant as the years went on, but nonetheless, I mean, some great movie, and a lot of different songs performed on this movie.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, and it's so cool that the way they set this thing up, it isn't necessarily true or necessarily chronological.
Right.
The setup is that he goes directly from the stage into a rehab place in New York City, and he's telling the story to the other drug addicts, and so it's not exactly true the way he puts it, and there are full-scale dance numbers, for instance, that obviously never happened, but it really is fun to watch.
Oh, interesting. All right, now rounding out the list of all kinds of movies playing at the Sawmill Theater this week. Well, we have Aladdin, a kind-hearted Arabian street urchin and a power-hungry Grand Vizier vie for a magic lamp. And of course, Will Smith is in this at rated PG, plays at 1, 4, and 7, all of the showings in 2D. How's this one been doing?
Oh, it's done great.
Really?
Another good kid, family type movie. A lot of singing and dancing in this.
Now, is this Disney?
Disney.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have they had any flops lately? I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of a Disney flop.
Yeah, if a Disney movie makes $100 million, they call it a flop.
Wow.
Kind of.
Well, how much did they? How much did
They're
it cost?
cruising right along.
How much did it cost to make Aladdin? Do we have any numbers on that?
Yes, a magical 183 billion bucks, you can imagine.
Wow.
That's just an incredible amount of money.
And this has been out, what, 3 or 4 weeks now?
Ooh, came out Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And
Start of the 4th week.
right. And we have revenue numbers on this yet?
You betcha. And this is one of our 2 movies that are in the black this week. Rocket Man, of course, is doing very well, but Aladdin's taken in 618 million bucks.
Holy moly.
Happy birthday, Walt Disney.
Yeah, man, that's quite an ROI there. Yeah.
Well, Disney's, they started out with Captain Marvel,
Mhm.
which made hundreds of millions of dollars, and they went into Avengers Endgame. They did do Dumbo. I guess that would be maybe
Yeah.
considered a flop. That really didn't.
It's all about his ears, right?
that
Wow.
re-
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that one really didn't bring in the money that they were hoping.
Well,
It
the
was
one,
really sweet.
yeah, the one thing that I've heard a few people comment on, and I think we talked briefly about it last week, is in Aladdin, the animated Disney flick Aladdin, basically all the same music and everything, and really the same storyline and everything is done in this, but this is done live action now instead of animation.
They're doing that with a couple. We've got Lion King coming up in July. That they did the same thing, kind of doing this kind of live action
Right.
footage, and pretty much looks like pretty much the same story, but just redoing that with the better visuals on it. And again, this is Disney cruising along, and next week we've got Toy Story 4.
Wow.
Another Disney film. And that one is rated G.
Rated G.
We don't see very many of those, but
Yep.
The Toy Story, though, I mean, I've watched those many times because of grandkiditis. And I have to say, they were pretty, entertaining. As far as sitting down and watching an animated movie with the grandkids, I found them to be, some pretty funny material.
early reviews are already out, and I think it's at an 84 on Metacritic.
Wow.
It's supposed to be really good.
Very interesting. And that's coming out next week?
A week from today.
Week from today, all right. And of course, those are just some of the things playing at the Sawmill Theaters. You can always go online and find out more by just going to sawmilltheaters.com, or you can call the theater at 602-377-0719.
Craig mentioned the live-action version of Lion King coming up. Of course, Lion King, the theme song was written by Elton John, and he got the Academy Award for that.
Right.
And Pixar Studios is in its successful form, let me put it that way, is a creation of Steve Jobs of Apple.
Really?
Yep.
And Billy Joel had a big hit in that first. He did the my medulla oblongata or whatever it was.
Hakuna Matata.
Oh yeah, sounds a lot like the base of the brain to me. Anyway.
Really, cerebellum.
Yeah. So now switching gears, and Wiggle, I don't think we ought to. We wanted to find out your choice, our listeners this morning, of your favorite animated movie of all time. So we turned to our, well, they're not really our friends, but the people at Best of Rotten Tomatoes, and they looked at movies with 40 or more critical reviews, and they vie for their place in history as Rotten Tomatoes eligible movies ranked based on their adjusted score. So actually, we've got the top 100 animated movies according to them. We're obviously not going to have time to go through all of that, but I want to find out, Ms. Tina, first of all, if you were going to pick one animated movie that you thought was just the absolute best, what would it be?
Well, I have to waffle a little because there's full animation,
Mhm.
and I love Ratatouille, which is about that rat who,
Is
in
a
the
cook
kitchen.
or something,
Yes,
isn't it?
oh, I thought that was great, and it was really funny.
I've worked with a couple of chefs who were rats.
Yeah, and then the semi-animated, my favorite is Enchanted with Amy Adams. I mean, the music to that is just absolutely transcendently beautiful.
Wow.
And I used to, waltz around my house singing all the themes. I just think that is a beautiful, beautiful movie.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, if we were back in the 70s, oh golly, and it's just like that, the title went straight out of my head.
Fantasia?
Yes, thank you.
Fantasia.
I mean, that was,
Yeah.
when it came to animated stuff back then.
Oh, yeah.
It was like really cool, dude.
Dude.
But at any rate, I remember that one.
And then one more is
Yeah.
Up.
Yep. Yes, but while we're still on
Yeah.
Fantasia,
Yeah.
I'd just like to mention for Randy's benefit, there's an article in the latest issue of Economist magazine out of England of the growing trend towards legalization of psilocybin.
Yeah, I think they just did that up in Canada, or Colorado, didn't they? I think they just,
Denver,
yeah.
Yeah.
And so there'll be a lot of freaked out people with huge smiles on their faces up there.
So we can expect a regeneration of
Of
Fantasia.
A regeneration of degeneration. Anyway, that, I don't know, when it comes to animated movies, boy, there's been a lot over the years. I know as a kid, I have to say, as a very young kid, I got sucked into Bambi. Of course, that was, back when that originally came out.
Yep.
I don't know, what do you think of, Craig, when it comes to favorite animated movie of all time?
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo, yeah, the one where they're searching for the fish, right?
Yeah. And actually, yesterday for the kids movie, we did Surf's Up. I really like Surf's Up too.
Huh.
Surfing penguins.
Don Klein, who's our camera operator here when we do the Hometown Movie Guys, by the way, go on YouTube and look for the Don Klein channel on YouTube, and you can actually watch what goes on here while we're doing the show, as well as the unbelievably crazy things that go on during the commercial breaks. Anyway, Don just handed me a note, and he's got a couple of good ones here I'd forgotten about. Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
That was a good animated movie.
Yes, with Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, and
Yes.
the other one was Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Oh, excellent,
Yeah,
excellent.
those are
Yes,
interesting
that was a
movies.
Disney.
What about now, if we're talking about favorite animated movie of all time, Andy? And you don't limit yourself just to animated zombie movies, but I mean, just any movie in general that's animated. Is there a favorite out there?
I'd have to say my favorite of all time would be Toy Story 2,
Ah,
followed by Toy Story 1, followed by Toy Story 3, followed by
Toy Story 4, that's not even out yet.
Monsters, Inc.
Oh, Monsters, Inc., that was
And
good.
maybe anything else done by Pixar.
Yeah.
And then we can have a separate category for every other non-Pixar animated movie. Pixar movies are just so good. They're like in a whole nother category.
I had completely forgotten about Monsters, Inc., but that's another movie that the grandkids introduced me to, and I've watched it like 11 times, and I have to say, that's pretty well done. I mean, there's interesting moral to the story, there's good one-liners for the adults, everything there to keep the kids' attention. I mean, it's a good all-around production, I think.
Yeah, there's my favorite, maybe my favorite movie thing of all time is when this huge, scary kind of blue Yeti comes out of the closet to scare the bejesus out of this little 2-year-old girl, and she just looks up at him and says, "Kitty."
Oh man, you're supposed to be scared.
Not scared at all.
Well, taking a look at, again, what Rotten Tomatoes came up with, I'll just give you a quick look at the top 15. In 15th place, How to Train Your Dragon from 2010.
Yeah.
I didn't like that at
Yeah.
all.
Number 14 was Moana, and that was from 2016. Then number 13, going back to 1995, along with Andy, Toy Story, the original. Finding Dory in 2016 is number 12. Pinocchio from back in 1940,
Yep.
bringing in the number 11 spot. I mean, that's pretty interesting. You got, with all of the technology now, they're still finding an animated movie that was done cell by cell back in 1940, still almost in the top 10.
Yeah, I think the story has to, it has to account for that. Obviously, it's not the quality of the animation, but the story of Pinocchio is really something. I mean, it's like an onion, you know, you have
Yeah.
all the different layers on it.
Well, it's voted the best animated movie ever by the Association of Otorhinolaryngologists. So, file that where you may. Number 10, from back in 2003, Finding Nemo. Got number 10. Toy Story 3, along with Andy, that got number 9. That was from 2010. I didn't realize that Toy Story 3 was already 9 years ago.
We can note already the number of Pixar movies that are in there.
And number 7 is from 1999, Toy Story 2. Zootopia from 2016 comes in at number 6.
A really entertaining movie. I
Yeah,
I really got a kick out of
I
that
don't
one.
think I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, it's fun. It's a whole society with animals, and different animals have different characteristics and whatnot. Except for the anomaly, there's a policewoman who's just the cutest little bunny you ever saw, but she's still a cop.
Right. I have seen the movie. Now that you mention it, I remember it. Always go for the policewoman. We were talking about how some of these movies, some of the all-time favorites, date back a long ways. Number 5 in the top 10 animated movies, according to Rotten Tomatoes, is from 1937, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yes,
Wow.
I have that on my
1937.
list as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll take a look at the top 4 here coming up. We have to take a fast break. And want to hear from you. What do you think? Your favorite animated movie of all time? You got a favorite? Give us a ring. 474-2427 the number to call.
Was a Bug's Life, or was it The Ant and the Grasshopper? Both of them Pixar movies. But the Ant and the Grasshopper story, but I don't remember if that was the title.
Super Beasto.
Yeah.
The Bug's Life.
What's that? Life of Ants? Or what was there? Was something?
Heavy Metal, yes.
What's that?
Heavy Metal.
Oh, Heavy Metal.
Super Beasto is decidedly rated R.
80s?
70s, I believe.
70s. Heavy Metal. Okay.
Like a wrestler, superhero who,
okay.
and his sister would go through all these
At your service.
adventures.
At your service, cleaning and tree service.
Hey, we need somebody to cut down all this brush.
Actually, I think it might be
Our home. At your service.
Nazi zombies. If I'm not mistaken.
I'll be with you in just a moment.
They've got you got Hitler's head in a jar.
On a jar?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, that was a great one.
Debbie Reynolds.
Because I kind of remember that.
It is just insane, yeah.
I saw that, I think, in a drive-in theater when it first came out.
What?
1973, Charlotte's Web.
Write it down.
Oh,
That's a good
boy, that is a charming movie. Yeah.
And Debbie Reynolds played Charlotte.
Tree service.
Napa Auto
And,
You'll get a $75 prepaid Visa card.
the-
We'll spend $250
The
on
rap
Napa
was
brake
played
parts,
by
which is
the guy
cause
from
to
Hollywood
celebrate.
Squares.
So get $75
Oh,
back on Napa
Paul,
brake parts today.
Paul Lund.
Paul Lynn.
Paul Lynn,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, he's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like a mouthy gay guy to get you laughing.
Yes.
6/30/19.
Arizona Fraud Squad presents Jam.
All right. Well, we have a caller on the line, or at least, we started out this stop set with a caller on the line. We'll find out if we can start the next segment with one, too.
Phone fraud, sales fraud.
Well, the last one was a good caller.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a new voice, too, which I like, rather than Al calling in 3 times.
We bring fraudsters to justice. Arizona Fraud Squad.
Here we go.
You report it, we fight it. Go to azag.gov.
12 minutes in front of 10 o'clock, 78 degrees. Again, looking for a high today around 89. Give you a complete look at your 7-day forecast here coming up in just a little bit. Meanwhile, as we do on Fridays, talking with your hometown movie guys, Tina, Craig, and Andy with us in the studio, and asking, what is your favorite animated movie of all time? Let's go to the phones. 474-2427, our number to call. Hi, you're on the air. Thanks for calling. Hello? All right.
you did it again.
They
I'm
come and they go.
Great.
Well, I tell you what, I'm sorry if you call in and you hear commercials, just hang in there. There'll be something fun happening soon. Anyhow, phone line's open again. So one of the things that went on during the break there is Michelle from back in the business office here at the station came in and said her favorite animated movie from of all time, I think from back in the 70s, Heavy Metal. I don't think I've ever seen this.
That's good.
Yeah, I have, Craig has, absolutely.
Yeah, kind of a musical, yeah, you can rate it R. I think it was just,
Yeah.
One of those rated R things.
Yeah, definitely not
R-rated movie.
a kid's animated film.
Right. So
Yeah, don't make that mistake.
There's a few of those floating out there.
probably
Yeah,
ought to
really.
mention Fritz the Cat at the same
Yeah,
time, but
exactly.
and then we'll stop mentioning that. Back to the phones again. Hi, you're on Rim Country Forum. Good morning. Hi. Oh, okay. You know, I agree with you. I think the Minions,
Yeah.
my favorite characters in the whole thing, and I mean, it's interesting, this weird little language that they've come up with that, you know, still has, you know, the right words strategically placed here and there so you can follow along, but I thought those movies were hilarious. Anybody else got an opinion?
Yeah, no, absolutely, I
Yeah.
agree with both Randy and the caller. I think the Despicable Me movies were just great. And like you, I do love the Minions. And they went through a lot of trouble to invent their language.
Really?
Yeah, you know, they actually did invent kind of a language.
Wow.
And to hear them talk, and they're so fluid when they talk, you know, it's just like they're talking, well, I guess they are.
Right.
They're little minions and they're talking in the minion
But I
tongue.
mean, that's a lot of work that goes into coming up with, I mean, it's like Star Trek back in the day that, with the Klingons.
The Klingons, yeah.
Yeah, they actually came up with a language, Klingon. Prior to that, well, never mind what I thought Klingon was before that.
Yeah, that's it.
My dog has them.
Hate it when that happens.
I wish I could remember, but I used to be able to say good morning in Klingon.
Really?
And you know, it sounds like you're dropping bowling balls into a dumpster. and the actual translation is, "What do you want?" You know, that's the good morning
That's good morning
greeting
in
for those
Klingon.
guys.
Sounds like good morning around my house. All right, so 9 minutes in front of the hour. Thanks for the call, by the way. And if you would, give us a ring. Let us know what your all-time favorite animated movie was. You know, I think, you know, as far as coming up with one that was definitely at the top of my list, I'm kind of having a difficult time. But I do think that out of all of the animated flicks that I've seen, I think our last caller hit the nail on the head for me, and that I think the Minions are the one animated character that I've gotten the biggest bang out of. But that the other one that we mentioned earlier, you know, Roger Rabbit, back when that first came out, that was a big hit, and there's a lot of good, you know, double entendre, one-liner, you know, stuff going on. And I enjoy that little witty stuff that you have to catch quicker, it goes past you.
Jessica Rabbit at one point says, "I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way."
Yeah, that's right. I like that. All right, so now we've talked.
And actually, it's true. Yeah, she's a very, very devoted wife to Roger Rabbit. Was one of the most unlikely couples in all of moviedom.
Oh, and Don just said Django? Django, is that how
Oh,
it's pronounced?
Django.
Yeah.
Rango.
Yeah, the Django.
The Django?
Django?
Yeah.
Rango, Mango.
Yeah.
Oh, that's have
Isn't
my
he,
double.
isn't he a lizard, like a Gila monster, or gecko
Johnny
or something?
Depp.
Gecko.
Oh, Johnny Depp
Gecko.
played the part of that.
Yeah, he's a gecko.
And it was like set in the Old West, and he was like
Yeah.
a gunslinger
Yeah,
lizard,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a scaly dude. Anyway, hey, 7 minutes rather in front of the hour. Hi, you're on Rim Country Forum. Sorry to make you wait. Hey there, how you doing?
Hey.
Oh, you know, just you know, breathe deep. The gathering gloom. All right. Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, VHS, right?
had that down, yeah. Yeah,
I have completely forgotten the word Thumbelina until you
yes.
mentioned that.
Well, there's one listed as being from 1994. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
So now there was it's another one of these movies that has a lot of great little witty one-liners and stuff that the kids might not necessarily catch, but keeps it interesting for the adults. But I thought Shrek. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of flatulence humor and stuff like that once in a while, but for the most part, I thought it was pretty good. Not that there's anything.
Yeah, we're doing that one Monday morning.
Is that right? Yeah, that's right. And
Monday morning at
then
10:30.
Thursday Shrek 2, right?
Yes, yes.
All right, very cool. So at the top of your list, caller, and for animated movies? Thumbelina, wow, oh, very interesting. I remember that title, and that's about all I remember, but I mean, that goes back a few years.
Well, that comes from Hans Christian Andersen.
Right.
And, a lot of the old, The Little Mermaid, some of those other ones come from Hans Christian Andersen.
And that goes back to 1800s, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so
yeah.
wow, very interesting. Thanks for the call, good stuff. Well, we want to make sure that we also touch real quick before we're out of time. Mention that there's still 4 more in the top 10 to talk about. This is
What are they? What are they?
I'll
Tell
tell
us,
you.
tell us.
This is according to your friends at Rotten Tomatoes. And number 4, from 2018, just a year ago, Incredibles 2.
Yeah.
Number 3 from just last year, Paddington 2.
Huh.
And that's number 3 of all time.
Paddington Bear.
Yeah,
I'm underwhelmed on their choices there for 2 and
That's
3.
why they call it Rotten Tomatoes. Something smells wrong here.
I'm like, what about some of the other ones?
And
Anyway, go ahead.
then number 2, going back to 2017, another one that I don't even remotely agree with, although I haven't seen it, so I probably shouldn't say that, but I will anyway, is Coco.
Oh, I heard that was good.
Really?
Yes, I heard that was great.
Yeah, I would, Coco is spectacular visually. It is just amazing.
I've always found Coco to be hot.
It's all chock full of the most vivid tropical colors
Right.
that you can imagine, and it's really fun to watch. I don't think I'd put it in the top 10, but it was
Yeah.
fun.
Michelle just came back in from the office here and said, how about Watership Down from 1978?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that was good.
yes,
That was good.
absolutely. Boy, did I cry in that one.
Yeah,
Really?
that was really
Pretty
good.
bad when you cry in the cartoons.
Oh, yeah, the poor bunny, the poor brave bunny.
I know.
Oh, he was waiting. Says, my chief told me to hold this position, and he did. Oh.
Tastes like chicken. Number 1 in our top 10 animated movies of all time, according to the folks at Rotten Tomatoes, which I think we're suddenly realizing that they may not be the best source of this kind of information. But on their tomato meter, registering 98%, coming in at number 1 from just 4 years ago, in the year 2015, Inside Out. I don't remember even hearing about this.
That was the girl with the voices in her head. The
Oh.
different, the personalities
Kind of a Sybil
they
thing.
animated the personalities, anger and sadness, and so they were all kind of,
Huh.
kind of showing inside of her head how they were interacting.
Well, it shows that there may be some
Well,
emotional
some
health
we
issues
haven't
here.
mentioned, I mean, Yellow Submarine, remember that?
Oh, from the Beatles, yeah.
Yeah.
And, well, it's,
Inside Out is the best animated movie of all time. Is dumb.
yeah. Well, here's one that I've never heard of before, but it almost sounds like it could be interesting. It's from just a couple of years ago, 2017. It came in at number 28 in their top 100 list. My Life as a Zucchini. Have any of you even heard of this before?
I don't recall that one,
I bet.
but getting back to Tina's Yellow Submarine, not only is it fun to watch, but the music is just terrific.
Of course, it's
It's
all the
Beatles
Beatles.
song after
Yeah.
Beatles song after Beatles song.
Right.
You just can't beat that.
Right,
The original Lion King from 1994 came in number
Yes.
40.
that was good.
Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Weir
Yes.
Rabbit from 2005, that
That was
took
good.
44th place.
They put that one about the girl with voices in her head is number 1, and Lion King is 40. These people are mixed up.
Yeah.
They get 101 Dalmatians.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Bambi came in number 60 in the top
Right.
40.
No.
And,
A Bug's Life came in 66.
I love A Bug's Life, and Bambi versus Godzilla is one of the shortest,
shortest.
animated movies
It's like 20
of all
seconds or
time.
something.
And we're just about out of time, but I needed to point out real quick, because I know there's a lot of people listening that wanted to know this. Coming in at number 75 in the top 100 from 2012, Frankenweenie.
I saw that.
I
I
just
didn't see the movie, but I saw that it was there.
never even heard
Lady
of
and the
stuff.
Tramp.
Oh, there you go. Hey,
Oh,
Rim
Lady and the
Country,
Yay,
Tramp
Lady and
was
the
great.
Tramp.
Rim Country Farm,
The
brought to you
Yellow
by Banner Basin
Submarine.
Medical Center, George
The
Henry
Yellow
Plumbing, Heating and
Submarine, you
Cooling,
can't
After Service
beat it.
Cleaning and Tree Service, ITD Group Computer Services, Anytime Fitness, and Hospitality Wireless. You're listening to Rim Country Radio, KMOG Payson, it's 10 o'clock, 78 degrees.